The velvet lining sticks a little as I pull the box open, a cold prickle racing up my wrist. My thumb grazes the bracelet inside, silver links threaded with odd runes, warm against my skin in a way metal shouldn't be. Grandma stands over my shoulder, eyes misty. "That was always yours," she murmurs, voice softer than memory. "Every time someone wore it, clocks broke or doors swung open at midnight." My little sister leans in, nose wrinkling. It feels like it hums. "Mom, did you ever dream when you put it on?" She just smiles, distracted, rubbing the back of her neck. "Once I saw stars, falling, then rising. I heard a voice, but it was like listening through a wall." She hesitates, fingers tightening on the lid. "This isn't a jewelry story, is it?" Dad enters, holding a photo with a younger version of him, the bracelet loose on his wrist. "Kept me up on those rainy nights," he admits, knuckling white. "There were whispers, maybe just the wind. Or maybe—" He stops, swallowing hard, then laughs as if to shake off the mood. Old house, old nerves. My eyes fix on the bracelet's runes. They feel familiar, like something from class, but not any language I know. Grandma's eyes meet mine, searching. "Do you ever hear music when you're alone? Or smell flowers that aren't there?" I nod, a little stunned. "Sometimes." She steps closer, brushing hair from my forehead. "Some things are protection. Some are reminders of who watched before you, even if you never knew their names." The TV crackles in the living room. A neighbor's clock chimes unexpectedly, startling us. Mom shakes her head, half laugh, half warning. "Maybe it's time you show this to someone who understands symbols, not just us. Someone who reads what doesn't belong to the world of light and noise." Dad sighs. "Just promise you'll be careful with it." Grandma's hand lingers on mine, grounding me. "And promise to listen. Sometimes silence is part of the answer." A hush settles. I unclasp the cool metal, feeling a pulse, gentler than a heartbeat, yet insistent. In the lamplight, the runes catch yellow, shimmer, then settle. The box's velvet is cold as dusk, but under my fingers the bracelet hums warmly, growing louder as curiosity leaks past worry. As night slips in, I rest the band on my wrist and watch the windows for old shapes or new dreams. The room feels changed, not haunted, but expectant, as if what I've inherited is not simply an object, but a door. Whatever mystery waits, its first whisper is the quiet certainty that tomorrow, everything I thought I understood will sound different when I listen for the hum. The bracelet rests on the linen in the center of the table, candlelight playing over every link. The medium from Istanbul reaches first, her voice a whisper. I sense a circle, voices all pressed into silence. She draws the bracelet toward her, fingers trembling as they close around the largest rune. She inhales sharply, eyes going wide. As the flame flickers, words die on her lips. Her hand scribbles frantic shapes onto a page. Lines, swirls, something like stars. But no words come. She finally passes the band to the man beside her, shoulders tense, barely breathing. He takes it with a nod, his thumb brushing a charm etched with a feather. For a moment, a smile tugs at his mouth, then vanishes. He fixes on a point beyond the room. Memory is not mine. It's everywhere at once. He murmurs, voice cracking. There are guardians gathered, but their names are scattered, falling out of reach. He closes his eyes, lips moving in silent prayer, and sets the bracelet down with sudden care. A young woman next in line, brash all night, seizes the talisman, but her facade crumbles. Hot! No, it's light! I see children by a river, passing this from hand to hand. Why would... She blinks, shoulders curling forward, lost for words. Her wrist locks as tears streak her cheeks. She scrawls a single spiral, chest hitching with effort. Narration flickers above it all. Not one medium speaks more than a phrase before silence swallows them whole. The bracelet sits heavy between breaths, the air thinned by unseen presence. Pens drop. Pages fill with symbols, not stories. Awe mingles with fear. No one offers an explanation, even for comfort. Finally, the most senior medium reaches forward, resting her palm on the last charm, gold lit by unsteady flames. "It's not for us alone," she says, voice hollow but washed with wonder. "It remembers every watcher, every vow, every break." She draws her hand back, fingers tingling, jaw set. Some protections don't want a name. They want a witness. As the session breaks, the room breathes only in glances, shoulders sagging, hands still gripping their notes of silent scribbles. Candlelight flickers orange and then blue, throwing new shadows against the walls. A room changed by a connection that only grows in silence. Lab lights flicker overhead, monitors humming as a team of scientists file in, cautious, skeptical, sleeves rolled high. The bracelet sits coiled atop a glass dish, its runes reflecting crisp blue under the lens. Dr. Ramirez, the physicist, leans close, sliding data pads in place. "Let's see what fairy tales you hide," she mutters, sliding it gently beneath the electron microscope. Her colleague adjusts the dial, but the screens fuzz out, pixelating, then flashing a jagged white. "Magnification glitch?" she asks, frowning. "No, look at the spectrum," whispers the spectroscopist, eyes riveted as arcs of geometric light swirl across the feed, untethered to any known alloy or mineral profile. A grad student swaps in a magnetic field probe. The gauge swings wildly. A sharp scent, like ozone and copper, fills the lab. Everyone pauses. The computer logs spiral again, data unrecoverable, and the security cam blinks, static, spilling in blue bursts. "Run a control test," barks Dr. Ramirez, rattled. The younger chemist hesitates, thumb brushing anxiously over the next switch. "None of the calibration tests fail this way, ever. We haven't seen patterns like that, not even in neural data." He shakes his head, staring at the monitor's looping fractals. As the glitch storms deepen, a cryptographer in the corner, silent until now, squints at the readings. She whispers, "This isn't noise. Someone meant these numbers." Her hand shakes, tracing the sequence on a spare sheet. "It's communicating, just not with us, not yet." One physicist rubs his temples, mouth drawn tight. "I don't care what the study says. Take it off the sensors." "Now." The tech's fingers tremble as he unclamps the glass dish, the scent of burnt air lingering. For a heartbeat, the power in the bracelet seems to pulse, stretching into the corners of the lab until every machine falls still. Fans stilled, screens black. Only the soft, charged hush remains. Eyes wide, hands stilled above their keys, the scientists do not speak. What they witnessed under electron and magnet, shifting geometry, living signals, the shivering taste of static, leaves the bracelet unchanged, but none of them certain of reality. And as the room breathes in slow, unsettled awe, it's clear. Sometimes science finds the edges of an older design, a code more ancient than any one mind can hold. A single chime rings as the bracelet is returned to the center of the table. The medium's scrawled spirals and the scientist's printouts lie scattered, untouched. No one moves to gather their notes. Each expert, spiritual or skeptical, sits silent, hands stilled, eyes unfocused or shining with something that could be awe or could be fear. Dr. Ramirez stares at her reflection in the lifeless black of the monitor. "There's nothing left to analyze," she murmurs, almost hoping someone will argue. The Istanbul medium's fingers twitch as she traces the rune, then folds her hands tightly in her lap. "We all saw, but none of it is ours to say," she whispers. Her shoulders tremble, a tear slipping free before she wipes it away with the back of her hand. A young grad student who'd laughed at old stories earlier now sits hunched forward, brow pressed to knuckles. "It's not possible," he mutters, voice nearly lost. "Numbers, visions. It's a message, but not for science." The Beninese medium's eyes close in exhausted wonder. "I heard singing. Old, soft, gone. There aren't words to shape it anymore." Narration threads through the thick quiet. In the wake of so much searching, words become useless, too small for what was felt or glimpsed. Every attempt at description falters, replaced by an ache of recognition. Pages meant for findings remain blank. Recorded audio hisses, capturing only indecipherable murmurs, an occasional gasp, or a phrase in a language no one in the room can remember learning. Even the most rational skeptics lower their heads. Defenders of logic and keepers of secrets alike sense a boundary crossed, the room itself holding its breath. A chill lingers in the air. A hush not of fear, but of a world waiting for someone else to listen, to name what cannot be spoken. The candle flame dances blue, the shadows pulling close. In that vast, wordless moment, everyone understands. Sometimes silence itself is the story, louder and more lasting than any answer could ever be. A Turkish Sufi gathers the faithful in a candle-lit courtyard, the night whispering with distant drums. The bracelet, now threaded on crimson string, is handed to him. He bows, touching the talisman to his brow. "This is not for one alone," he murmurs, his accent gentle. "Tonight we'll listen." He secures the bracelet above a small bowl of rose water, and as he chants, the congregation echoes, their prayer spinning out above the rooftops. In the moment, silence falls. A soft wind stirs the smoke, incense curling golden, the charms flashing silver under the moon. The scene shifts north. In the Peruvian Andes, the bracelet rests between salt and red petals during an Andean healer's midnight rite. A young woman steps forward, tracing her finger along the cold metal. "My grandmother said bands like this open gates in dreams," she whispers. "Last time I touched it, I saw a river shining with faces, each one calling my name." She weaves it into the altar, the crowd murmuring, "For courage, for return." Eyes close, breath rises in a hush as a bell clangs, a sound that promises safety but riddles too. In snowy Lapland, a Sami mother hangs the bracelet above her child's bed. "Night spirits may wander," she says, brushing braided beads aside, "but this calls the watchers to our side." The child peers up, wide-eyed. "Will I dream of stars?" she asks. Her mother smiles, pulling a blue quilt tight. "Only the kind that finds you safe and brings you home." Outside, northern lights flick green, bathing the talisman in shifting auroras. Further south, in a township near Cape Town, the band is woven into song. Children stamp feet, elders clap, and the air thrums with new resilience. A choir leader ties the bracelet to her djembe, voice carrying, "We've seen loss, but we still sing." Some gifts pass in silence, some in hope. As hands join, silver flashes, midnight giving way to a dawn chorus, soft but unyielding. Narration flows. At every stop, the bracelet absorbs meaning. In Istanbul, it's a shield. In the Andes, a bridge for souls. In Lapland, a signal of hope. In South Africa, it pulses with the legacy of those who survive and sing. Each ritual, each song, each whispered blessing changes both the talisman and the hearts that welcome it, spinning old protection into new strength. Which tradition or ritual from your culture gives you strength in uncertain times? Share your answer below. I drop the bracelet onto my wrist before sleep, the last notes of distant singing echoing from the night before. Rain rattles the window. I close my eyes, but rest won't come. Warmth bleeds from the silver, first soft, then insistent, like a heartbeat not quite my own. Dreams claim me fast. I run through tall grass, feet slick, storm clouds splitting with golden light overhead. Voices rise, low, urgent, chanting words I both know and don't. Breathe, trust, return. I glance down, dozens, even hundreds of hands reaching, each one bearing a band like mine, runes shimmering with moonlit rain. My fingertips tingle as a single golden feather dances on the wind, spinning toward me with impossible grace. Sudden silence. Somewhere, a bell tolls. The grass around me ripples, and the voices fade, replaced by a whisper. We carried you, it says, sorrow and pride twined. Now you carry us. Faces flicker in and out. A young man with eyes like mine. A woman singing by a river. A child scrawling charms into dust by firelight. Everyone has a band, each broken and mended, each glinting in dawn's coming. I bolt awake, startled to find my hand clenched tight around the bracelet. The room is cold, shrouded in shadow, yet a warmth spreads from my wrist. Faint, but steady. I stumble to the mirror, heart racing. My skin glimmers where the band sits. Tiny markings, unfamiliar yet certain, shimmer gold, then fade. Downstairs, Mom sets her mug down, staring at me with new worry. You're different this morning. My sister cocks her head. You talk in your sleep now. Sometimes it sounds like music. I rub my wrist, still tingling, the line between memory and dream thin as sunlight on water. I'm fine. Just big dreams. All day, odd things linger. Strangers return my gaze too long. A friend says my eyes flash with new confidence. Or sadness, she can't decide. I answer, half glimpsing an old path, a vow, unable to name what I've inherited, but feeling its weight in every heartbeat. The bracelet hums quietly as I drift through the day, sometimes loud, sometimes barely felt, but always there, a mark of both burden and invitation. At the edge of sleep, rainwater runs down my arm, shimmering alongside an imagined feather, gold chasing gold, as dreams prepare to open their gate again. I find her diary tucked deep in the linen chest, pages yellowed, the cover nearly worn smooth. Candlelight pools across the table as I gently turn the first leaf. That's your great-grandmother's hand, Grandma says softly, eyes misting as she sits beside me. The ink, though faded, pulses indigo beneath my gaze, spirals, notations, and symbols matching those etched onto the bracelet snug at my wrist. I trace the markings, heart drumming. The opening lines read like a confession. Tonight the sky cracked blue with thunder. I saw them again, watchers along the ridge. The ceremony must not be spoken, but I remember. The chant, the salt, the promise. Words jump out, visions of rivers, a warning dreamed before ships sailed, and a single word repeated, threshold. She writes of a ceremony shrouded in secrecy, a gathering only for those whose dreams marked them. We inherit burden, but also song. Break the line and the protection falters. Remember, child, never wear the band when storms rise, unless you are willing to be called. Mom peers over my shoulder, whispering, "She wouldn't let anyone read that but your grandfather." My skin prickles as the next page reveals shaky drawings, sepia-toned scenes of masked figures in a circle, bands gleaming by firelight. I match a symbol from her sketch to the largest rune on my bracelet, and something shifts inside. A flicker of memory, not mine. The sound of waves, a chorus chanting behind closed eyelids, hands pressed together in promise. A sense of weight passes through the room, reverent and a little afraid. "Every line is a gate," Grandma murmurs, voice trembling. "She believed you had to walk carefully. Say yes only if you mean it." As I close the diary, the ink glimmers one last time, soft, deep, like dusk. I feel the gravity of all her warnings, every echo she tries to pass down, and wonder who will next open this book when stories feel too heavy to share. The bracelet thrums against my skin, the diary warm in my hand, a secret not just kept, but now newly alive, waiting for what I will do. The hush in the room lingers, the power of old vows pressing close, each breath a delicate balance between tradition and awakening. The diary's warnings echo in my mind as I step inside the old library's lecture hall. High-arched windows spill morning light across rows of chairs. Today, every seat is filled. Scientists with tablets, mediums clutching stones and sage satchels, a linguist arrayed with old scrolls, and a laptop glowing blue. Anxiety mixes with reverence in the air. The bracelet sits at the center of a ring of salt, blue candles burning low, wax pooling into glyphs no one can quite read. A Kyoto linguist lifts her hand. "We will attempt all channels, spoken, written, felt." The Beninese medium nods, drawing a spiral in chalk at her feet. "Be warned, each sensing may open a gateway, not just a message." The Irish neuroscientist checks EEG sensors, voice steady but eyes cautious. "We'll track the readings," but the last test set all our alerts blinking. A hush falls as the first medium approaches the band, inhaling the scent of cedar smoke. She brushes her fingers across the largest charm, then folds into trance. Her lips move, soundless, but blue shapes flicker on the candle wax. The linguist jots symbols, eyes darting between runes and lines of ancient script on her screen. "It's a crossing," she whispers, voice uncertain. All signs converge. Symmetry and language dream, even the EEG rhythms. The scientist signals. A light on the monitor pulses, shifting to a new, rhythmic wavelength no instrument has registered before. Another participant, a skeptical folklorist, leans in tentatively, only to gasp. "It's not a story. It's a pattern, alive. I saw my own grandmother with a similar band, in a place I've never actually been." Her hands shake as she passes the bracelet along, candle flames standing suddenly tall. The Beninese medium slips into a low chant, her song twining with the air, her shadow stretching long as the rhythm pulses blue. A beat passes, half anticipation, half awe. The neuroscientist removes her headset, hair clinging to her forehead. "Whatever this is, it's real. Our data charts coherence across languages, trance, and technology, but none of it explains what we just shared." Her voice quivers. The world's stories, minds, rituals, aligned for the briefest moment, as if reality wanted us to listen together. The circle simply breathes, each person marked by what they witnessed. A silent code in the candlelight. A convergence where science and spirit bow to mystery. No verdict is offered. Just a growing certainty in the flicker of glyphs, the hush after chanting, the cedar smoke, that everything truly meaningful happens in these rare crossroad moments where all paths meet. If you witnessed a sign that all paths were converging, would you speak or wait in silence? Let us know in the comments. Rain patters on broken pavement as a city groans in the grip of disaster. The bracelet lies heavy on my wrist, its warmth flickering between comfort and warning. Officials, scientists, and mediums gather around, divided. The Irish neuroscientist checks her console, eyes wary. "We're out of time for more experiments," she says. "If there's power, we need to see it act in the open." A Beninese medium lifts her head, braid trembling. "Some want you to hide the band. Others urge you to become a shield. But it's you who must choose what story the city remembers." Outside, sirens wail. Lightning rips across the skyline, jagged and red, scattering rooftops below in sharp relief. I feel the band pulse, every rune humming in my veins. A child clings to her mother near the barricades. An old man mutters prayers in half a dozen tongues, his stare lost, but his hope defiant. "A field test. Go," urges the linguist, pressing a coin of salt into my palm. "Find the heart. Where the pain's worst, that's where this matters most." I step out, strangers watching with fear, curiosity, longing. My steps lead to a square where crowds gather, desperate and divided, anger and despair thick as fog. The bracelet's glow softens, silver spilling up my arm, then outward, shimmering in pale strands. People pause as I move through them. A woman weeps, then stands straighter, pressing her hand to her chest. A boy offers a torn violet ribbon. "For luck, if everything breaks, let this remind us." My voice is shaky. Maybe it's not about fixing everything. Maybe it's about not hiding, even when you could. My hand finds the worst of the broken ground. I press the bracelet to the stone, whispering a word I don't understand. Hope stirs. The runes blaze gold, fanning a thin silver light deep into the earth. Cracks mend, not with magic, but with the courage to try again. People who were shouting now speak quietly. The mother wraps her child in a blanket. The old man smiles through tears. Faces lift, not saved, but turning toward each other, drawn by a warmth that lingers after the storm passes. When I return, the team is silent, some in awe, others wary. The neuroscientist reviews her equipment, signals off the charts. No one can explain it, but no readings like this before. The Beninese medium takes my hand. A sign is only as strong as the heart that chooses to act. My wrist is marked with a faint new line, silver spiraling, never the same as before. Narration closes on the city, silver traces glittering where anger once ruled. The bracelet has not saved the world, but it has altered the story, showing resilience is built not from ancient charms alone, but from each person's decision to carry hope where fear used to live. I slip through the door, the city's uneasy calm pressing at my back. The bracelet hums, heavier after what happened in the square, its weight not measured in silver, but in the stories it now carries. Grandma waits with incense burning low, eyes sharp as I settle at the kitchen table. "Did the band act?" she asks, voice trembling with both dread and belief. I unclasp it, letting the bracelet rest between us. For a moment, there is nothing. Then a soft vibration thrums along the table. My hand jumps and the band's runes flicker, gold and blue. Visions dart behind my eyes. A river crossed, faces joined across centuries, hands linking to shield something far too large for words. Shadows crawl along the walls, twisting into spiral patterns as a bell outside tolls once, twice, then falls still. The Beninese medium and the scientist return, each changed. The scientist, once skeptical, lays her palm on the bracelet's links. I saw an image, hands clasped, circle unbroken, a message. Protect the threshold, don't close the gate. She pulls away, eyes shining. It was so clear. It was shared. The medium presses her forehead to the table, murmuring, "Old songs, long lost, called me home. You've become a keeper now." As the night deepens, the bracelet pulses with shared energy. In living rooms across continents, others who have touched or dreamt of the band jolt awake, each catching a flicker of the same vision. Ancestors joining hands, a call for guardianship, the hush before a new chapter unfolds. Elders gather outside, lighting lanterns beneath a quilt of stars. Grandma clasps my hand, voices a hush. Every bearer faces a choice. Speak the prophecy or guard the silence. My breath trembles. This is no longer only my story. Is it? She smiles softly, shaking her head. No, but it is yours to tell and to protect. With each hour, more return to the house. Mediums, skeptics, friends, quiet, thoughtful, not afraid, but changed. We form a ring in the yard, lanterns swinging, shadows bending in quiet spirals, the night air thick with questions and awe. An old bell tolls again, softer than before, marking each new revelation with a sound older than language. As dawn nears, I press the bracelet to my heart, feeling the promise in its silent voice. Thresholds are meant to be watched, not walled. The band has spoken, not in words, but by joining every true witness into a legacy that cannot and should not be held alone. The hush lingers, a new chapter opening with nothing but the touch of hope and mystery found in silence. Lanterns sputter, casting gentle shadows across the backyard, where friends, elders, and once skeptical researchers gather in a loose ring. The bracelet lies at the center, its runes still glowing faintly from the earlier vision, candlelight dripping in soft rivulets onto tissue-wrapped prayer beads. Grandma's voice breaks the silence first. "It's time," she says, hands folded steady. "You must choose. Do we keep this or send it forward?" The Beninese medium glances up, hoping to battle caution in her eyes. "Such things should serve all, but the wrong hands twist even blessings," she warns, pressing a worn blue charm into my palm. The scientist eyes the band, voice quiet. "If we show the world, we risk chaos, but perhaps also awaken thousands more." The Irish linguist, sleeves rolled up and eyes clear from a long night, nods. Knowledge hides and spreads. Rituals change, meanings shift. Sometimes letting go transforms more than guarding ever could. I clench the band, the runes pulse, and a swirl of languages not my own brushes my mind. The moment is electric. Faces flicker with longing and fear. Every time a gift like this is shared, it rewrites the story. I begin, nerves raw but voice firm. I don't want to bury what can help, but I can't force the world to bear its cost if they're not ready. Candlelight dances, shadows swelling as prayers rise in a dozen tongues. A chorus, not of certainty, but of hope. The circle debates. Some want the bracelet sealed away, protected in ritual. Some urge a new ceremony, where others willing to risk it may volunteer as future keepers. Others insist it must be publicly revealed, offered as myth or miracle. At last I lifted the bracelet high. Let it move. Let the old song find those ready to listen. We can guard the secret, but not lock it up in fear. Start a new ritual. If you seek the truth, come to the candle and name what you hope to guard. The group nods, relief and fresh determination brightening weary eyes. Wax slides down my wrist, warm as breath, as every voice mumbles a final prayer. In the hush, prayers tangle, soft lights flicker, the chorus, folding into a lull that feels less like an ending, more like the fragile beginning of something larger. No single voice decides. All bear the mystery together. Protect, reveal, or transform, each path a risk, each choice a hope. If entrusted with a mystical artifact, would you protect its secret, reveal its truth, or pass it on? Share your views below. Dawn breaks soft and golden through the window. The house is quiet, a hush that settles deeper than sleep. I find myself alone with the bracelet, resting now in a small box lined with faded velvet, its runes dull yet unmistakably alive. Children giggle outside, chasing each other, drawing spirals in dust with sticks and sneakers, laughter spinning through the morning air. Elders lean across the market, humming a tune passed down through time. I catch the words, barely. Let the watcher sleep, let the candle burn. A neighbor pauses by the doorstep, tracing her fingertip over the mark etched years ago in the stone. She glances at me, offering a smile that knows more than it says. At the mosque downtown, a man hangs blue threads in the doorframe, singing the old protection song under his breath. A mother in the square draws the bracelet's spiral pattern on her daughter's palm with henna. It means a safe journey, she explains, her eyes shining, even when we can't walk beside you. Narration falls soft. The bracelet's journey isn't finished. Its story lingered in every market song, playground chalk spiral, or whispered blessing at the border and bedside. Those who once tested, doubted, or surrendered to the hush now find themselves changed. The scientist carrying a rune on her notebook, the medium chanting softly at dusk, Grandma humming in the kitchen as she folds away the last of the candle stubs. Late in the day, I sit by the window, watching the sun slip toward shadow. In my lap, the bracelet glints, quiet, potent, and patient. The silence once so strange now comforts. Every choice I made, share, protect, transform, lives on, not in the object alone, but in every heart now carrying a piece of its story. Across cities and ages, the band becomes myth, lullaby, ritual, and gentle riddle, a secret never held by one, but always ready for the next to listen. A breeze stirs, cool and certain, the lingering note of yesterday's blessing still singing underneath the ordinary noise. In that breath, I realize, the legacy of the silent band is not just in the keeping, but in the quiet courage it wakes in anyone who truly hears its call. If this mystery moved you, subscribe for more journeys, and tell us, what power or sign has quietly protected your path?